I honestly don't think I've seen Bill this cornered in a very long time on Beyond the Gates. Every direction he turns, another enemy is waiting. Another secret is circling closer. Another betrayal is about to explode in his face. And what makes this even more terrifying? Bill still thinks he can control the situation. But can he? Because from where I'm standing, this doesn't feel like one more legal battle anymore. This feels like the beginning of Bill Hamilton's complete collapse. The moment Mike walked back into the picture, I immediately knew chaos was coming. Not just ordinary soap opera chaos either. I'm talking about the kind of revenge storyline that slowly poisons everyone around it until nobody escapes clean. Mike isn't returning as a defeated former employee looking for compensation. No, he came back angry, focused, calculated, and maybe worst of all, personal. That scene where Mike made it crystal clear that the lawsuit against Madison was only the beginning, chills, because Mike knows Bill too well. That's what makes this storyline so dangerous. These two men used to be allies, friends. Mike learned directly from Bill. He watched every manipulation, every courtroom tactic, every intimidation strategy. Bill basically created the monster now standing in front of him. And now Mike is using those same tricks against the man who taught him everything. Isn't that the most terrifying kind of enemy? Someone who already knows exactly how you think before you even move. And honestly, I think Bill finally realizes it. You could see the cracks forming when Mike rejected the payoff. Bill genuinely believed money could still solve this. That's classic Bill Hamilton behavior. Control the narrative, control the people, control the outcome. But Mike shocked him. Bill knows that even if Mike accepted the money, the lawsuit probably wouldn't disappear anyway. That means this was never about business. It's revenge, pure revenge. And meanwhile, Bill's body may already be betraying him. That's the part of this entire storyline that I cannot stop thinking about. The hints surrounding Haley's poisoning plot are becoming harder and harder to ignore. Bill's physical condition is changing. The weakness, the instability, the moments where he looks like he's struggling to hold himself together. At first, I thought maybe it was stress, but now I'm convinced the poison is slowly taking effect. So what happens if Bill is forced into the biggest war of his life while literally becoming weaker by the day? That's not just dramatic. That's catastrophic. And the timing could not possibly be worse because Mike isn't attacking alone anymore, at least not in my opinion. I know the show hasn't officially confirmed it yet, but I cannot shake the feeling that Mike has help behind the scenes. His confidence feels too big, too fearless, too prepared. This doesn't feel like a desperate man gambling everything. This feels like somebody operating with backup. Somebody who knows another player is waiting in the shadows. And the second Doug's name started circulating again, every alarm bell in my head went off. Because if Doug really is returning now, during Mike's revenge campaign, then how can these stories not collide? Seriously, think about it. Doug has every reason in the world to hate Bill. Bill betrayed him. Bill exposed Doug's plans to Joey. Bill's actions pushed Doug toward destruction and near death. And soap operas never bring someone back from the edge unless unfinished revenge is attached to it. Never. That's why I think Doug's return could become the real nightmare here. Mike may want to destroy Bill professionally, but Doug wants emotional destruction. He wants pain. And if these two men actually form an alliance, I honestly think Bill could lose everything. What terrifies me most is imagining Bill trapped between two enemies attacking from completely different directions. Mike goes after the lawsuits, the scandals, the public humiliation. Doug goes after the personal wounds, the betrayals, the family fractures. One destroys Bill's empire while the other destroys his soul. How does Bill survive that? Can he survive that? And poor Madison may already be getting pulled into a war she never truly understood. At first, Madison seemed convinced the lawsuit was targeting her directly. But after discussing everything with Bill and Naomi, the realization started creeping in. Maybe she was never the real target at all. Maybe she's simply collateral damage in Mike's war against Bill. That realization changes everything. Because now Madison has to ask herself a terrifying question. How much of her future is worth sacrificing for Bill Hamilton? I actually think this is where the conflict between Madison and Chelsea is about to explode again. You can already feel the tension building between them. Chelsea wants to fight. She wants to stand firm and push back against the pressure. But Madison, I think she's starting to panic. And honestly, who could blame her? Her career could collapse because of Bill's enemies. Her reputation could be destroyed in a scandal she never created. And once fear enters a soap opera alliance, betrayal is usually right behind it. So what if Madison decides peace is safer than loyalty? What if she backs away from the complaint entirely? Would Chelsea see that as survival or betrayal? That's the kind of emotional fracture this show thrives on. And then there's the reporter situation, which I absolutely do not believe is over. Sure, Chelsea managed to temporarily contain the crisis. But the fact that they realized the reporter was only one small piece of Mike's larger revenge strategy says everything. Mike is playing a long game. Every leak, every accusation, every uncomfortable headline, he's creating pressure from all sides at once. That's why Bill seems unusually shaken lately. Not defeated yet, but shaken. For a man like Bill Hamilton, losing control is almost worse than losing entirely. And I think the show is intentionally pushing him toward panic. Because here's the really fascinating part. Despite Mike's terrible history, despite the sexual harassment allegations hanging over him, despite the fact that Bill's public reputation still appears much stronger, Mike still believes he can win. Why? That emo flattering keeps bothering me? A man with Mike's baggage shouldn't be this confident unless he knows something we don't. Unless he has evidence. Unless he has allies. Or unless somebody even more dangerous is about to step back into the picture. Doug? I swear, the more I think about it, the more inevitable this feels. And if Doug truly returns, wanting revenge against both Joey and Bill, then the emotional fallout could become explosive beyond anything we've seen recently on Beyond the Gates. Because Joey may not even realize the storm heading straight toward him yet. Bill might still think he can outmaneuver Mike legally. But emotional revenge? That's much harder to predict, especially from someone presumed gone. And can we talk about the symbolism here for a second? Bill is being attacked externally by lawsuits while internally being destroyed by poison. That cannot be accidental storytelling. The writers are practically screaming that Bill's entire world is rotting from the inside out. Professionally, physically, emotionally, everything is collapsing at once, which makes me wonder something even darker. What if Bill finally reaches the point where he can't tell who's betraying him anymore? Because soap operas love isolation arcs before a major downfall. And right now, every single relationship around Bill feels unstable. Mike wants war. Madison is scared. Chelsea is furious. Naomi is suspicious. Doug may be returning from the shadows. And Haley's poison may already be working. How much longer before Bill completely spirals? Honestly, I don't think the upcoming episodes are building toward a simple courtroom showdown at all. I think we're heading toward total emotional devastation. The kind where secrets explode publicly, alliances collapse overnight, and somebody ends up paying a price nobody expected. And the scariest part, I still think the biggest twist hasn't even happened yet. Because if Doug walks back into the story at the exact moment Bill is weakest, then this entire revenge storyline could transform into something far more dangerous than anybody realizes. The walls are closing in around Bill from every direction now. And for the first time in a long time, I'm not sure he escapes